So welcome again to ComCall 2020 online annual conference. For those who were already there, we had a great start off with some interesting keynote speakers, some thought-provoking panelists, and we ended up with some laughs at the mingling sessions that were set up by your young board members. For those who have missed it, it's been recorded and it will become available soon. So for today, we have some amazing sessions ready for you as well. So for now, I would like to give the floor to Alina Gromova, who will be moderating this first session. And I want to wish you a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela, for a warm welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Alina Gromova. I'm from Germany, working for the Jewish Museum Berlin, and I will be hosting today's session. We are proceeding today with a very intriguing topic, using collections to make new collections, which sounds to me very vivid, like using old clothes to make new clothes. But of course, in this case, the reality with collections is much more complicated, and we are excited to learn about different methods of how to work creatively with collections in order to gain different and diverse interpretations. In this section, we are hosting 3 speakers from Taiwan who will present their experiences and studies from various Taiwanese museums. And what is very important is that after the 3 presentations, we will have a discussion round. So during the presentations, you are very welcome to put your questions in the Q&A window. First of all, I would like to welcome Yakswang Wang Chelsea, who is a researcher in the National Museum of History, Taiwan. Chelsea will talk today about interdisciplinary innovation for contemporary collections, the practice of constructing diversified dialogue in Taiwan museums. Chelsea, the floor is yours.
Okay, so let me share the screen first, okay? So greeting. Friends and colleagues from the World Museum community. My name is Chelsea Wang. Today, I want to share with you my action research on a museum innovation plan in Taiwan, which is based on the relevant work of the National Museum of the History, which is based on which is on the Taiwan and as an example. And this action research is a comprehensive overall structure for the purpose of solving the practical problems and finding a new development. So here we go. Let me introduce the core case. The NTMuseum is a creativity field in the first. The museum in Taiwan, this museum is a pioneer in image and brand licensing. Since the establishment of the Creativity and Marketing Division in 2012, so it's a few years, it has been responsible for licensing, with the many important results have been achieved within a few years. In 2018, the museum has been closed for renovation. So it became hard for NTMuseum to exhibit its collection. So before the renovation, we started to think, how could we provide the closeness of the collection even when the museum is closed? And based on the experience of image licensing, we think if you tell a good story, the importance of every collection is equal. Therefore, we are eager to discover the collections usually in the box, have the chance to be seen. So in brief, you can see our collections. In brief, we explore the fascinating, surprising details based on the perspective of the museum, applying classical ornaments of historical collections and work elements to conduct the transformation design, which contains regular, recreative, and revolutionary design principle, thereby creating exclusively design patterns for National Museum of History, as well as naming the outcome using the systematic coding to produce. Guidelines provide for the general public. At the same time, we can also stimulate other potential cooperating partners through the innovation, interpretation, and imagination of the collections. The overall plan takes three concepts of the one, first, museum ideas, originality; two, usage, target, refresh; and three, make it easy, close to. So we got concept innovation, target creation, and the widespread application as its core structure. And we expecting the plan will achieve one source and multiple uses. We try to give a brand new look of the digital preservation and the transformation of the collections. The view angle of the collection is not limited to the original appearance of collection through diversity perspective, including academic context, knowledge content in the collection, and trace of the stories, and the design principle of contemporary design. We can explore more innovation possibility. We select the 9 categories collections from the museum's 19 categories. After a year of discussion between the project investigator and the design team, of course I'm in the investigator team, finally a total of 37 collections were used for pattern design, including 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions collections. We finally created the 60 patterns into 4 series. I will show more image to let you know about this. We can see the distribution. It's wrong. Sorry, it's wrong. Okay, please let me introduce because I think it's kind of language problem. Sorry, I can explain by myself. We can see the distribution, the experimentation collection we use, proportion of 22% is textile. So which is the highest, the 15% for the documents such like antiques, stone rubbering, and 20% for the traditional ink painting. This is very different compared by using the licensing usage, because for example, the oil painting and national treasure is the hottest licensing image. So I will explain about the design work, what we did. For example, first, we can use these bat collections and the other 3 patterns to explain the design logic. The first one pattern we designed by collections form, and the second one we designed by the features. And the third one, the features is you can see the bats have different size of eyes. And the third one, we use the original appearance and the design principle of patterns to organize. These 3 patterns are connected with the original collection, the original ones, in different way of aesthetics. The other example, we can see the most beautiful popular licensing image in our museum for many years, a textile collection. This type of textile often hung in a house and as the decoration of the celebration of birthday and the marriage. The red silk was embroidered with beautiful symbols from Qing Dynasty, maybe 100 years ago, something like that. And we can take the classical allusion of marriage symbols. Therefore, the pattern we use is a type of romance. And the next one, so it's classical allusion about the story, marriage story. And the next one pattern capture the ornaments of the original collection. It's over 2,000 or 3,000 years ago collections. Yes, so going through a long way of discussion with the design team, we designed only 4 series MMH patterns. They are romance of flowers and birds, beauty of the fortune, and the playful doodle, illustration, final one is the blessing and good fortune. These 4 series represent the different meaning of the subjects of museums. Moreover, the 4 series make potential users who are not familiar with the museum can catch the collecting point very quickly. So keep going, we can see the style book for the usage. You can see the name and coding number of the pattern, and in the below, it is a description of the story. And the right side is the design methods, such like a mirror or glide, something like that. And then in the bottom, it is the inspiration collection description. And the right pages, users can also realize the chromatics, something like colors. So in 2019, it starts patent licensing plan. So we can use this content to connect people, to provide the public with more museum licensing resource, such like licensing to mask in this year is very needed, and relieving the tension in Taiwan, such like that. Moreover, it's creating a marketing way in the one source and multiple uses concept to a special experimental exhibition that allow the audience to approach the museum from close distance. This special exhibition will open in the next Friday, so it's quite busy right now. We choose an old house which is rebuilt for a backpacker hotel. And the interesting thing is this building was underground meeting place for gay friends in about decades ago. It's a very old house. This area is also an important district for the subculture in Taipei City. So this experimental exhibition used a bold style with the highly saturated colors to create fantasy space with a historical pattern in a real hotel, and invite the audience to join and experience. Let me show you some view of these exhibitions. Just like you can see the Taiwan instant noodles, just in the most of a hotel, we keep the Taiwan style. There are so many details we create, and we have hands-on education workshop in this exhibition, in this space during the exhibitions. It is really particular year. So you can see the bold style, something images about this exhibition. I'm sorry, it's for the computer images because it's under construction now. So I'm hopefully we can share more in the next Friday, but it is maybe sometimes. Okay, so in the really particular year, we try to use this pattern plan to make the audience feel more microscope of the collections and enjoy the new life of epidemic prevention. The design pattern is inspiring by the retro, literary, and surreal styles of the history. We try to say, accessing the collection and the creation of the issue is no longer limited to a single approach, and it is no longer limited to the framework of the museum fields. Just like the new channel of the information created by today, influence voice of the internet, such like key opinion leaders. So museum must be more proactive in preservation facts, at least in Taiwan. Yeah, and the development of various accessible collection, innovation, and interdisciplinary collaborations. So as far to promote more diversity communication with the general public. That is what we want to try to say. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chelsea Wong. I'm very impressed by this presentation and by the way how very close the marketing department works with the collection department and how fast the results are visible to the audience. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will come back to your discussion afterwards. And now I would like to invite our second presenter, Chen Xiaochai. He is an associate researcher and chief of the collection division at the National Museum of History in Taiwan. And she's going to talk today about transforming folk tradition into a museum's collection. A night on a divine procession, Anfang in Lukan, from the National Museum of History in Taiwan. The floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. My name is Zhen Xiaozhai, come from the National Museum of History. I'm the chief of the collection division. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Today I will talk about a new project about in our museum. And as we know, the representation of different culture and the recontextualization of material culture in museum is always being the central to the museum studies. Yeah, and I will present a new project to translate and the reinterpretation about one piece of the artwork in our museum, and it will enhance the research and the utility of the museum collection. Let me, okay. Can everyone can see my my PPT? It's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Today I will give my talk, including the four parts. The first, I will talk about the representation of museum collection. The second, I will talk about the story about the night divine procession. And the third part, I will talk the old connection, how to make the new connections, and make a brief concluding remarks from the collection of artifacts to culture complex. Okay, let me make a brief introduction about our museum. The National Museum of History was the first public museum to be established following the retreat of the nationalist government to Taiwan. It was established in 1955. It was a window on national culture and a platform for new aesthetic creation. And it plays an important role in the construction of national history and culture. The main collection in the early period has been shifted from the Henan province in China, and ancient objects returned by the Japanese. These are followed by modern painting and calligraphy works and historical artifacts from Taiwan. And I noticed one of the most iconic work in the museum collection. It is a night of a divine procession, Anfang in Lugang. It is a word carving works. The collection records suggested that this period was created by master woodcarver Huang Guoshu, and it won first prize in the carving category in the 4th National Craft Award in 1995. It is later procured by a collector and then donated it to our museum. But there are many questions posed here. Why it happened in Lugang? And what is the night divine procession, Anfang? What inspired the artist to create the work? What value and cultural significance does it work represent when it becomes part of a national collection? I think these questions are not answered by the limited collection data currently available. So last year, our museum launched a new project with a night divine procession as a creative focal point to revisit the development history of wood carving and the traditional folk beliefs in a small town. The story concludes with a glimpse on the centenary Wang Ye beliefs and the Night of the White Procession ceremony that continue to strengthen the bond between the people, the temple, and the community. From the new project, I re-examine the creation and the collection strategy in museum study. An ideal museum collection should not be limited to tangible objects only. Rather, it should be a repository for invaluable, intangible cultural heritage experience. So that I think museum collection can go beyond the material existence of objects and can better preserve the cultural context in full. Okay, let me introduce the background about this artwork. Firstly, we know the author of the piece, Huang Guoshu, was born in Lugang Township in Zhanghua, and he apprenticed at a wood carving factory after graduating from junior high school. After 20 years, he was selected as a National Art Heritage student by the Ministry of Education in 1991 and mentored by Master Li Songling afterwards. And during his apprenticeship with Li Songling, he revisited his childhood memory and deeply feeling about the Night of the White Procession that he took part in back in his hometown, and curated significant number of sketches and photographs as nutrients necessary for his masterpiece.
Chen Jiao, can I just interrupt for 1 second, because we got a request from because you don't have it on a full screen mode, but we can see the side slides as well. So it's a bit small to see on the screen. Could you put it on full? Can you put it on full slide mode?
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, let me continue. And Huang Guoshu used a large block of beech. He arranged the outline of the piece by following the natural contour of the wood to vividly reenact the Lugang Longshan Temple, ancient adobe houses, parade formation, and onlookers. At one point, he had to give up due to a large eroded hole in the wood. But he perceived and completed the work after 6 months. The extraordinary display of the microcosm of the life of the ordinary Taiwanese people earned him the National Craft Award. This is the synopsis of the hard-working anecdote behind the cultural artifacts. And secondly, if we from the historical development viewpoint, Lugang was an important trade port in central Taiwan during the Qing dynasty. The town was established by settlers from Fujian in China. It was attracted a large number of well-to-do gentry families and who engaged in business and trade activities. Cultural events thrived, and as a result, traditional folk culture and craft are preserved to these days. And wood carving is the centerpiece heritage of Lugang and closely related to the community's religious life, with a sophisticated level of the skill required and high demand. Woodworking craft thus became a family enterprise throughout town and led to a prospering wood carving scene in Lugang. And however, the good times did not last. As a market began to open up and the price dropping as a result, wood carving in Lugang transitioned from religious and utilitarian purpose to an artistic mentir. The particular cultural masterpiece transcend its traditional connotation and it became a microsome of the changing time. The third part, I will talk about what is the Anfang, the Night Divine Procession. The Night Divine Procession is also called the Night Patrol. 鹿港 enshrine 王爷信仰 王爷 beliefs, that is the protectors from the ancestor home. In early days, when there was plague and misfortune, the god was give instruction to an irregular on an irregular base to drive away evil or demon at night. The ritual have a purify effect and helping to maintain peace in the community. This is arguable most mystical of all the traditional religious activity in Lugang. The Night Divine Procession was a solemn religious ceremony in early time, but in recent years has become a bustling temple fair event. The scene presented by the work is a deeply moving, immersive portrait of the merge of the religious significance and the folk activities. And the third part, I will analyze the phenomenon, and I call it the old collection, how to make the new connection. Music collections has always provided a convenient but fascinating access to researchers for understanding the social culture as a community. They unveil the way men produce, use as tools and aesthetics forms within. They also explore the social cultural context of the object. The social cultural experience are not limited to tangible objects. Instead, they have gradually extended beyond the physical environment and the landscape of the object to include their material and cultural import. So I think the researchers believe these expressive cultural objects can reflect the abstract concept and the behavior values of culture. In other words, an object of daily use employed in Asian human community is no longer part of its origin context and become part of a museum collection. And ideally, when this object leave their original social cultural context to be included in a museum, they have to documented and analyzed, researched, and reinterpreted by scholars. Their social cultural background can be reconstructed and represented as a bigger truth. Okay. However, the original documentation data of many collection pieces is either lacking or has omission, cause problem for follow-up research. The decontextualization and the recontextualization of collection is clearly a challenge and a concern faced by museum researcher. And in my concluding remarks, I think the ideal object of the museum collection research is a knowledge construction process that cover field survey, object collection, data documentation, and the display. The project in our museum, the Night of the Divine Procession in Lugang, by Master Huang Guoshu as the theme. It began with artist creative concept and the traditional wood carving culture in small town Lugang, and the night patron ritual, a centenary custom that's still in practice today. So I believe that the ideal museum collection isn't just one piece. It should be the whole interconnected network around the object and the combined history and culture, knowledge, belief, value, and meaning within. Okay, thank you for your listening. And I want to give some information about the film, because the project we produced the 4 films in the website, put in our website. You can type in the title of our project, and you can enter the NMH website, and we put all the 4 videos in the iMedia. And I want to okay. I want to give a film, but it cannot work, sorry. So it's my presentation above. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for this. I'm sorry the film did not work. I think we got a very good impression how what happens when we combine, when we look at all the context and combine tangible and intangible. We were taken out of the museum. This presentation, we were, I had the impression we really walked out of the museum and saw the whole context. So thank you for this. And we are proceeding to our 3rd presentation and our 3rd speaker, Xuan Yuan Emily,
yes,
from the National Taiwan Museum. And
hi.
She's going.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. I just will name the topic of your presentation. It is Museum Collections for Mutual Understanding and Intercultural Dialogue in Contemporary and Multicultural Society.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you. Let me share my presentation first. Wait a second. Okay, can everyone see that? Can everyone see the presentation?
Perfectly.
I mean the picture? Okay.
Yes.
And also hear me clearly?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I'm Emily Xu Wenyuan from National Taiwan Museum, and I'm really appreciate ICOM Comco having me in 2020 annual meeting. My topic is about the collection. How does the collection react to the contemporary and the multicultural society? Me focusing on the collection connected to the immigration situation in Taiwan. So this is my presentation outline. I'll firstly introduce the historical background of our museum, and then I'll introduce the collections. And the collections, I mean, connect with the immigrants. Immigrations are focusing on the immigration from Southeast Asian region. So I will focus on the collection on that area. So, and then I'll talk about the immigration in Taiwan. And then I'll talk about cultural subjectivity and the museum collections, and also finding connection and creating intercultural dialogue, and then have conclusion. So here is the National Taiwan Museum. We are the oldest museum in Taiwan, and it's actually built during the Japanese colonial time. From the left to right are the main building, and then natural history branch, and then branch, and the railway department park. And you can see there is the numbers under each pictures. So the number on the right, on the left would be the time when it is constructed and start running. So for the main building, it started in 1908 until now. Of course, there are some huge renovation during this period of time. And then the next one is built in 1923, and then it has been renovated and reopened in 2010. And the Nanmen branch, the same thing. It's you can see the time, and then also the railway department park. So let's go to the collection part. For the collection are classified as a chart on the slides. Because we're a natural history museum, so you will see the collection and the categories are quite different from the National Museum of History. So there are four categories, and the Southeast Asian collection are under the anthropology category. And the next, quickly, I have a quick review of the organization table of National Taiwan Museum. Actually, for preserving the collection or to do the collection management and exhibition planning, they are the first two columns. You see the red checks. So I'm working in education department, which is far away from this research department on the collections. But our education department, one of our very important mission is to promote the museum, promote the exhibition, or promote help the research department to promote the collection exhibition through various events, lectures, and activities. And for me, I found something very interesting to make connection with. So why and how did I start to research the Southeast Asian collection in National Taiwan Museum? Before I go to this to the collection, of course, because in the educational department we are not able to reach to the collection directly. So there's actually some steps. It takes some time. So firstly, we initiate new immigration docent project in 2014 because the growing number of immigration from Southeast Asian, we found that if we can have the museum tour in Southeast Asian languages, that will help the new immigrants they will feel more comfortable or more accessible for them to walk into the museum. And so from here, that's our museum in the 22A Peace Park, 22A Memorial Park. The migrant workers, especially the migrant workers, they usually don't have that much time for the vacation, or they don't have that much time off. So once they have time off, they all gather to the Taipei main station and they walk down the street. They'll go to the 22A Peace Park. They sit around the museum, but they never come in. So we try to figure out a way to invite them, to let them feel comfortable to join in. So we have the multilingual museum tour. So for working with these immigrant migration communities, so we can get to know more people. So extend to immigration communities, and then after we get to know more about more immigration communities, and then we start to collaborate with migration or immigration communities. We have some events, festivals, lectures, focusing on the Southeast Asian traditional culture. And here is that's actually Zai Zhenxiao 老师, Zai Zhenxiao, that's Miss Zai's exhibition she did. She did an exhibition to respond it's as a showcase to respond to the growing number of Southeast Asian migration numbers in 2007. And this is our museum's exhibition. Our museum exhibition in 2008, that's for celebrating the 100 years annual celebration. So we have an exhibition showing all the collections we have, including the collections from Southeast Asian region. And very interestingly, the person who collect all these Southeast Asian ethnography, the cultural objects, he himself is a botanist. He doesn't know that much about the culture, but he found that these things are so fascinating. He doesn't know what those are, He may have some record during that time, but he didn't know the very precise each item's name or the historical background. He just found them are so fascinating. He just bring all these things back, and he's the first director of our museum. He's a Japanese back in 100 years ago. And here is also his collection. As according to our document, these are all his collection as well. These are we call in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, in the Indonesian Nusantara language, it's called wayang. Wayang means the theater. So so these are the wayang gelitik. Gelitik here means made by the wood. Okay. So very interestingly is we found someone in Taiwan, some migrant workers in Taiwan, because one day we have meeting with them because we have a lot of collaboration with them continuously. And one day we have meeting, and then I showed them the pictures of our collections, of these collections, and they were like so surprised. They say, "Wow, I grew up in the neighborhood. I grew up with watching these wayang gelitik theater. So I knew these puppeteers and the puppet masters, so I can help you to connect them through the Facebook, through the live stream." I said, okay, let's do that. So the first picture they sent me directly from the original place of the wayang gelitik is they are really performing this kind of wayang. Usually for the Indonesian area wayang, the shadow puppet, they're performing in night, but this wood-made puppet they perform during the day. Okay, so this is we invite migrant workers to check collections and connecting with the hometown artists in the museum. This is the first thing. So I also encounter some obstacles that people will question at me that, are you sure the migrant workers, they can help you to interpret these collections? I say, yes, of course, because they were born there. They grew up with these performing arts. Why can't they do that? So of course there's some argument after that. Everything is approved, so they enter our collection, the storage rooms. These two pictures you see now is in another municipal museum in Taipei City. So they are not like our national museum. They are more easygoing. They say you can just come in anytime you want. So we go there and have the live stream with the local puppeteer, and then we use this opportunity to ask them a lot of questions. So we got a lot of information, and which is very exciting. And also the puppeteer showed us the process of making these wooden wayang puppet arts. So I'm also collecting all this information together. I need to rearrange it and have more discussion with them, and then maybe it will be someday in the future it will become an exhibition. But it still needs a lot of work to do. And also the puppet master, he also sent me the picture about before this puppet was colored. This is half-made situation. So each wayang puppet has its own names. That's a tradition in the wayang puppet theater. In the wayang puppet theaters, each puppet has its own name. But for the Dutch people, that's those colonial people, the former colonialized government, they have all different. They also have different kinds of characters, but they only have one name, which is Dutch. So that's some small story I would like to share with everyone. So why do we in Taiwan need to know more about Southeast Asian collections? So for each museum who has this kind of collection, I think we should to make the best use of it to do a lot of things, because first, there are growing numbers of Southeast Asian immigrations and migrant workers. If we put all these numbers together, you can say in every 20 Taiwanese people, there maybe one has the potential Southeast Asian background. It's very high rate. And the second, the new museum rules, the new museum mission, and the new and the definition and museum definitions are shifting. This is very recent issues that occurs and being discussed in the museum communities. So the museum in modern times should be able to reflect various factors of contemporary society, and the museum should have the voice instead just a showcase. And the next thing is, what do we need to understand is understanding diverse cultural history can enhance the mutual understanding, hence the mutual integration, and avoid social exclusion in the contemporary Taiwanese society. So here just a quick showing that Southeast Asian immigrations in Taiwan. You can see Taiwan, a very small place on the top, and then you will see the Southeast Asian region is very wide and big. And why are these people are trying, they all want to come to Taiwan for marriage and for working. So we should, in Taiwan, we should be more appreciative to the cultural diversity that these Southeast Asian people, they bring to us. We don't need to go abroad or don't need to go to Southeast Asia. As long as we have a lot of friends, we make friends with the immigrations, then every talk is open a window to us, to their hometown. So here is another example: cultural subjectivity and museum collections. Let's see the picture on the left is for the wayang, for the people to perform the wayang. It's called wayang wong. Wong means people in Javanese. So wayang wong, so they will wear these decoration on their head. In the museum, it's 100 years old, really broken, really scary, terrible. We don't know how to restore it, but we have the events and inviting migrant workers to do the performance. So they did all these decoration. Look at the man on the right picture, on the picture of right. What he's wearing is not exactly the same. Of course, it's different things, but just let us know, oh, wow. So the picture on the left, this is for this kind of use on the head, and then showing his identity in this how to say that, in this thing of the performance. And this is also inviting the migrant workers that they come and help to do the, we have annual Indonesian Independence Day Cultural Festival every year. So this year will be in September. It's basically, it should be on August 17th. That's their Independence Day, but because of the COVID-19, I postponed everything. So, but I still, because they insist in doing that, and I still want to watch all the shows I like very much. So this is the first year. The picture you're seeing now is the first year of performing. They've been very, for migrant worker, they're actually in Taiwanese society, there are some stereotypes, prejudice, and people think they just come to work and they are not very okay, anyway, I don't want to put that much. Anyway, so from here, at that day, in this time, they become the cultural subjectivity, and they are the master of their own culture. So I asked them, you guys are so busy every day, you working, actually they're working like slaves in Taiwan. They don't have that much time to take a break. I asked them, how can you do the performance so well since you're so busy all the time? They say, don't worry, Emily, it's in our blood. I say, okay, I really envy you. Okay. So finding connections and creating the cultural dialogue. Now more in recent years, actually in recent decades, in the past 10 years, there are so many professionals or the scholars or the student groups, they are put more focus in the Southeast Asian culture in every aspect. So this is actually a group of Taiwanese students performing the gamelan orchestra. And here is, you see the guy standing, the teacher standing there. He is actually a Taiwanese student who studied in Java in Yogyakarta for 1 year to study. He's very fluent in Bahasa Indonesia, in Bahasa Jawa, and then he is registered dalang. Dalang means the puppeteer in Bahasa Indonesia. He giving the lecture, introduce the story, the historical background, and how to master the the wayang puppets. So these are children experiencing. So you can see them. There are different forms of wayang puppets. And now these very happily joined people, they are all Indonesians. So actually in the beginning, we invite Taiwanese people to come up stage. Taiwanese people are so shy, but the kids are not that shy. So, but later after the Taiwanese, the adults, the children finish experiencing, and I say, yeah, it's Indonesians time. So all the Indonesians, they just run up to the stage and practicing, no, not practicing, enjoy the fun they grew up with. So our ideal, of course, is to okay. I'll make it faster. We want to start from multicultural society, make it a cross-cultural society, and then to become intercultural society. So here is my inclusion that with all the help and from the wayang puppet professionals and immigration committees, we hope to have more outcome from the collaboration between the museum and migration. Hope they would have some hidden stories or personal stories regarding the wayang arts, and I hope this knowledge
I just wanted to let you know that you have enough time. You don't have to rush. Just
okay. I'm about to, exciting. Yeah, I'm about to finish. Wait a second. Yeah, I'm about to finish. So we hope that there are some tangible heritage and intangible heritage. These knowledge can as well be saved as museum collections. And that will be my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was very exciting. I had impression it could have go for ages and we could have listening for longer. And I just wanted to ask maybe Cheng Xiaochai, you can share the links you showed us at the end of your presentation in the chat, so everyone who is interested can look in this. So now we have half an hour for our discussion. So if you have questions from the audience, please post them in the Q&A window, and I will take the privilege of a moderator and ask the first question. The topics are very different, but I had the impression that there is many red lines which connect them, and one red line is actually the connection to the audience. Where is the audience standing and where are we standing in the museum? So I wanted to ask you a question about sustainability. Can you say that when you work on one project, that this is something which strengthens the relationship, different groups and communities and to the audience, which is not just for this moment, but for a longer time? Is it sustainable? Does it make the museums, does it put us really in the heart of the community? Are we doing a community work, or we are doing just a work on collection? I will be very interested, and Emily gave a couple of examples how you work with communities, and maybe other two panelists can also talk a little bit about this. Thank you. And just don't forget to remute yourself when you're talking. Put on your microphone, please.
So we just answer this time. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So we talk about the sustainability. I think I can share some opinion with two directions. One is about the project sustainable, and the other is the way we do the exhibition, because I just forgot to talk about before in my presentation. So the second one is more easy, so I can share very quickly. Sustainability in Taiwan, we usually to talk about protect environment, something like that. So we actually we do the exhibitions. We will think about the sustainable of the environment. So this time we used to we cooperated with material factory, something like the fabric, so they can do the new fabric of this exhibition in the wall. So actually, usually the museum do the wall exhibition, the wall or the panel usually do the cannot recycle material. But this time we do some of them with the fabric, special fabric and material, and then we can finish the exhibition. We can put it into like selling to have a bag or have another the things we can create it, because the designer is about the fashion designer. They can do a lot of things about the fabric. So we do this for another way to protect our environment is the sustainability we want to share with the audience about. We do the exhibition not only just create some garbage or some the thing we cannot recycle. So this is the first one I want to share a more easy way. And the other things about the sustainable, when I just put this plan to our advisor, we want to share about one concept about the one source and multiple uses. So this one source is what we created. It's about our new content of collections. After that, we want them to put into very different field, such like we do something about the benefits, public benefits, with we cooperate with the community, something like the factory, but this factory hire some disabled people. They have the something like they need some resource about some resource from social, but not about money. It's about maybe some design power or some content they can use to make their products or their service can more attractive for the social, so for the public. So we provide this something new content to let them can use it directly to promote or to guideline to a direction about be more good way to do their product, their service. We do something like this for 2 years. So we want to build a content which is not only just museum collections, but more we do the museum perspective, the new content they can use very easy. Because if you do the collection very original, some people will have a fear to use it. Yeah, in Taiwan, we have this problem. So we do another way to do one source and multiple uses. This is the core concept about this project. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this extensive answer. Kang Xia Chai, would you like to answer the question for your project? A question on sustainability? Otherwise, you don't have to. There will be other questions, but if there is an answer, so if you want to think about it, I would ask Emily first, because there is also another question from the Q&A.
Okay.
Yes, should we do this? Okay, so maybe Emily, maybe you can combine the answer to this question to the other question, which is in the Q&A to you. And there is a question, how many people participate in your immigrants' education programs? This seems to be really local. Are these micro projects or are they the core of your museum's activity?
Okay, firstly we talk about sustainability of my project, about the collaborating with immigration or migration communities. It should be a sustainable project because it is I shouldn't say common sense. That's a bad word choose, but it should be the museum should be able to work with the neighborhood all the time. So for my project, personally in the museum, I'm in charge of this part that to put the Southeast Asian communities to work with the museum. So it will be a sustainable project, but how can we create every time we create something new, make it more creative, or make it has the looking forward to make people look forward to the future, have a vision or have more development. It really takes time to discuss it. So I actually started in 2015. So it's just 5 years, and there's still a lot to do to think about. And for the questions. For the questions, how many people participate in the immigration education program? Actually, the immigrant programs, I don't know if that's the, sometimes I'm not sure if I understand correctly. So I answer one thing first is that they are not coming to the museum to be educated by the museum. Actually, they came to the museum to educate the society, showing the diversity of their culture. And different culture, because we are a island state. We don't have the experience that we have so many different countries just right next to us. So there are so many things we need to learn. And for every time, it depends on what kind of activity is that. If that's if that's like the Independence Day Cultural Festival of Indonesia, there will be like 500, 800, sometimes they just lose control. There will be a lot of people participate. But if that's a lecture or the workshop is varied from 50 to 100 people. So it depends on the different forms of the events. So here is the core. The reason that National Taiwan Museum, a natural history museum, to do this is for the cultural equity. And also we want to promote that the concept that every culture has the right to enter the museum, and every culture has the right to be seen in the museum. So that's the core value of we doing this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have if you want to answer Chen Chai, this question.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I will talk about the sustainable, about the museum collection. I think most of the museum collection is we call it the decontextualized, because it's lack of the documentation, lack of it's the very limited information about what we are collected. So in the project, let me reflective think about how to make the connection between the object and the people and the resource community. We think maybe make the new connection about that, because I think the museum collection is not one piece of the tangible object. It's must including the more information. We call it the socio-cultural context. If we get more information about the object, we can we can make more use and understand about the object, and we can preserve it well than before. So I think the sustainable between the object and the people is very important in our museum. Yeah. So because we are working, I'm working in the collection division. So as a chief, I also want to promote the idea, because we collect some object donated by people. We want to get more information, such as we will do the field work, do the field survey to get more information about the object. I think they are very important about what we are talking about, the collection of the museum. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So it looks like it is a really important concept in your museums. We have another question from the audience, from Alexandra Bunia. Thank you very much for 3 very interesting presentations. I find particularly important this connection between museums and what I would call creative industries in the broadest meaning of the term. It is something that appears to be in the interest of the museums or not? So the question to all of you.
No.
Someone who would like to start?
Maybe Chelsea.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I express my opinion. It's something like my personal or my research opinion. Yeah. Actually, we do the projects. We put our value to express by a creativity, something like Alessandra called the creative industry way to express. Because in Taiwan, in my museum, we have some maybe we call dangerous is too nervous, but it is a little problem about we don't have the teenagers or something like the more young people to join our museums. I think it will be a gap in the future. So we figure out how to attract them. So the most important thing in the first, we try to attract their eyes. So in some creative industries, in the museum or museology, something will be compared with the business things. But in my opinion, it's in Taiwan's situation, we have a lot of micro creative industries. It is very popular in Taiwan, but they don't have the young designer or the young brand, they don't have the resource to grow up. So maybe the museum's social role in this impact, we can do something more about to cooperate with these micro creative industries to make the Taiwan's design power or design ability can do more. So this is one our value to put in this way to express ourselves. So we want to do more about creative way, but not so industry way. Yeah, we have to, I know we have to balance these two. It's really different from museum, but we will keep this and to do more interesting projects to express more, maybe collecting, maybe images, maybe our value. So I can understand the concern, but we can do, but in our country, I think this is a way to try to do something about this. Yeah, this is my personal opinion. Thank you.
Yeah. Someone else would like to answer? If not, I have another question. So I would like to, I have a question to Emily.
Yes.
You you mentioned that your museum has huge collection, and most of these items were interpreted by Japanese naturalists. And so the collection you talked about is one which is not, which does not have clear interpretations.
Yes.
So I have this question, and maybe this is a question to all of you. What do clear interpretations mean, actually? Is there a thing when we talk about interpreting and reinterpreting and creative interpretation, is there a thing like a clear interpretation which we can stick like a label to an object and move on, or how can we deal with the interpretations which were set by others years and years ago and are still in our collections?
Okay. For the interpretation, for the collections in our museum, in my museum, that for the collections of botany, zoology, and geology, they are all well explained because all the professionals, they are naturalists in different fields. But for the cultural objects like the wayang I just showed, they didn't have, they only can tell us what year and where they collected, but they cannot tell us, we cannot see any information about the name or the stories or who made these puppets. So there's something, so this wayang puppet, they've been there for like 100 years and well preserved, but not that many stories behind it. So for interpretation, because I am not very, how to say that, I'm also trying, this is something very new to me, that because I firstly have the connection with immigration communities. And then I find out that the Southeast Asian, some of the collection are there, it's still being used in modern time. So maybe we can have them to do the they can also, what I'm thinking to do is for this wayang puppet, we can have the wayang masters still who is still working in this field, or the people who have the experience that grow up with these kind of performing arts. They can tell us more personal feelings or personal memories or anything that's related to, but it's very personal personal experience toward the collections. So it might be reinterpretation. It might be a very personal feelings connected to it. And what I'm thinking is maybe these stories, because maybe we may not know who made these puppets already, because in the area, the puppet master is the only one puppet master now. There's no others. There's only one puppet master who is making this kind of puppet, and also he's making this puppet and he has to do the performance at the same time. But 100 years ago, it's separated. The person who made the puppet is just made the puppet, and the person do the performance, and they do things separately. So because also they're losing this kind of culture. So from in Indonesia, the puppet master and we are thinking after, maybe after the pandemic is over, maybe invite them to come to Taiwan to do the performance and to directly see these puppets, and then give us more historical background or more stories about that to interpret it. But I'm not sure if that's reinterpreted, but still it is a way to give us more information about these over 100 years old wayang puppets. I think that would be very challenging, but also very exciting. That made people really made me looking forward to it, and also the Indonesian communities who are working with me to do all this interpretation, I mean translation from English to Indonesian, from Chinese to Indonesian, those people who are helping me doing the translation and the migrant workers, we are all very looking forward to the future possibilities of these Wayang Papis collections.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. The audience is very interested in this discussion, and there is another question connected to what you just said, Emily, concerning the larger connection of your museum. You said that the rest of the collection was interpreted by experts, and
Yes.
and it is clear what it is. But
Yes.
still, the question: are certain objects maybe still available for new voices, which come from different communities or different directions? Because Taiwan is even as a small island, it does so much engaging work in terms of diversity, and so
Yes.
and this is also a question to all of you. This concept of diversity, how strong is it incorporated in the museum work? Maybe Emily first.
Okay. Yes, you are right that actually we have, besides those natural histories, besides those natural objects in the natural environment, and all these cultural objects, we are all having, I don't think that we have very complete or very well interpretation of each object. And what we are trying to do, I mean personally, because I didn't work in the collection department, so I don't have that much authorized to do so many things. So for these things, for the collections that I'm able to touched with, one thing I come up to my mind is there's always, I think for each collection, there will always be a very special story between the collection and someone in the world right now. So this is something we need to try to do a lot of work, and this collection connect with human, the connection, the humanity connection will be, I think that will be a new ways of when we do the preserving or protection or do the intangible heritage, the recording, all the things. So it's really, yeah, it's a huge work. We actually have so many things just from it has the location, it has the name, we know what tribe it is from, we know it's a knife or it's a weapon, and whoever use it. Are these people still there? Is the family still there? Are the family moving to any other places? They actually can trace back to so many interesting stories, but it really takes time. And yeah, so that's my answer.
Okay, thank you.
I can. Okay,
please.
I can give some opinion about this, because I think we are rethinking the authority of the interpretation about the expert, because we released the authority. It's not except the researcher or the expert about who can give the answer about the museum collection. We think the native point of view is more important, because the object they are used by the people, by the source community. So we are give them more information. We can get more information from the source community. We call it the cultural barrier. Yeah, because it's really in the daily life, how they use the object, how they produce it, how they preserve it. And I think it's more important for the museum today to get the we think the native, the curation, native, the interpretation is more important. And yeah, so I think it's a time for the museum to think about because in nowadays the collection for the museum is not just stored in the storage. We will use the mailing technology to apply it. We want to shorten the distance between the people and the object about the collection. Yeah, we want to such as we will use the technology to make the 3D modeling, and we can make it more information, make more application about the technology. We can make more education or more easy way like people to access, make the things accessible. We want to really increase the accessibility about the museum collection. Yeah, so you can see in different parts, department, they will use the marketing, they will use the education, or use the exhibition, something like that. I think we are concerned one thing about it. We want to use more about our museum, our museum collection, the treasure of our nation. Yeah, I think it the same one concern about us.
Okay. Thank you very much. Elsia Wong, would you like to add something briefly?
Yes. I do some briefly about interpretation in my work. I call it last year. My research called it some people like us, museum curators or museum workers. I call it is ideal Scott in our work, because something like the antique is too far away from the people's life now. So we need something like a transformation about the knowledge, about the usage or knowledge before. So we have to do something like ideal Scott to connect it, or just like the Zheng Xiao call it a cultural barrier. We have to delimit the cultural barrier. And this is what we work in the interpretation. I call it a chain, because this is the first layer, and then the designer or the worker who work with the creative industry, they will interpret again, and with their crossover or their crossover viewpoints of this object, and because they listen your stories, and then they have the inspiration and imagination about their work. So it's a different layers, something like a chain, and then maybe audience or they have another chance to see the different way in antique, contemporary interpretation, and then they will receive some more inspiration about this. I think this is a good chance to make it more creative or more social impact for museum. Yeah, thank you.
This fits very well to a comment which we have in the Q&A box, that in other words, making new polyphonious connections is increase of knowledge. There's Lean Bears, thank you for this. And so I would like to thank you all very much. The time is over, and we talked about creative ways of creating new connections, and we also said that it was everything about people in the bottom line. So thank you very much, and I give the word to Daniela.
Thank you so much for all this inspiration from Taiwan. Last year, I was lucky. I was invited to visit you all and to see the great work you were doing. And I hope you have been able to inspire more people in the audience today, because for sure you did with me during that visit, and also now again. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Alina for the great moderation and to thank you for your participation. And we have a small half an hour of a break now, and then we have an amazing next session on contemporary collecting. So I hope to welcome you again at 3 o'clock Amsterdam time. So with all the different time schedules, I'm not going to mention all, so please Google what the time schedule is for you. But thank you so much for now.
Thank you. Thank you.